Alrighty everyone, welcome back to another week of solo raids. Hope you're all ready to get these portals out of the way and get those juicy rewards. Just so everybody knows who's new, the purpose of this raid guide is to help the advanced players get their top 200 badges, or for those who are trying to get the top badge of the world, that's also a possibility. What I do is together we sit down and I go through each portal one at a time. And I suggest that you watch me do each portal and then pause the video and do the portal yourself, knowing everything that you need to know after I go through the portal. So like usual, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go to your settings and then go to your raid retry option and turn it off. And let's get started. Alrighty. We're getting started with Portal 1. We've got a LoJack. Our decks are Moonbeam, Acid Drench, and Blazing Inferno. We're going to go with Moonbeam. Focus down the torso head, followed by all the limb parts. And you should be done before you finish all of them. Great. Moving on to Portal 2, we've got another LoJack. Our decks are Swarm, Psychic Chain, and Acid Drench. I'm going to go with Swarm, just because it's the higher affliction. It's higher than my Psychic Chain card by quite a bit. And just get those stacks down everywhere. Finish it off. Great. On to Portal 3. We've got another LoJack. Wow. We got Grim Shadow, Psychic Chain, and Clanship Barrage. Alright, I think for this one I'm going to go Psychic Chain just because it doesn't take time to ramp up, and both Clanship Barrage and Grim Shadows do. Also, when you're this low in the solo raids, it really doesn't take long to kill the individual parts, even if you don't have the specific target buff. There we go, moving on to Portal 4. We've got a Takdar. Our decks are Razor Wind, Acid Drench, and Decaying Strike. I'm going to go with Razor Wind. And of course on Takdar you have to beat everything down. There we go. Oh, looks like I didn't have to do the shoulder. And we can move on to Portal 5. We've got another LoJack. Our decks are Grim Shadow, Moonbeam, Razor Wind, and Psychic Chain with Grasping Vine. So I'm going to go with Razor Wind again. I like being able to do the target specific damage. I think it's even better than having the support card with it, because it can hit any part and get a buff. Alright, we can move on to Portal 6. We've got a Tarot. Our decks are Torso Focus, Ancestral Favor with Skull Bash. We got Thriving Plague with Gas, and we've got Gas with Blazing Inferno. So I think for this one, since we don't have to do any specific parts because there's no armor, we're just going to use deck 3 with Thriving Plague and Rancid Gas. There we go. No problem. Move on to Portal 7. For Portal 7, we've got another LoJack. Our decks are Fusion Bomb with Body Focus. We've got Psychic Chain with Limb Focus. We've got Swarm with Whip, and we've got Blazing Inferno with Thriving Plague. You probably do this pretty easily with 3 and 4. 2 is probably good too, although it would take a little longer for the head and the torso. I'm going to go ahead and go with 4. I'm just going to make sure I focus down the torso and the head and the legs first though, because once Thriving Plague gets onto the hands, they will die very fast. Okay, we can move on to Portal 8. We got a Sterile. Our decks are Inspiring Force with Swarm, Ancestral Favor with Razor Wind. We got a Head Focus deck, and we've got Whip with Decaying Strike. I'm going to use Ancestral Favor with Razor Wind. And for Sterile, when we're doing a burst deck, we just want to focus down one hand, one leg, the torso, and the head. Awesome. We can move on to Portal 9. We've got a Tactar. Our decks are Inspiring Force with Swarm. We got Purifying Blast with Acid Drench. We got Victory March with Moonbeam. We got Thriving Plague with Gas. I'm going to go Thriving Plague with Gas again. And once again, make sure you focus down the head and the torso first, and followed by the legs, and then lastly get those stacks on the hands. Wow, if they'll actually stack. Alright, we can move on to Portal 10. We've got a Sterile, and now we've got Armor. There is no info though yet. We won't have any info till Portal 20. Our decks are Fragmentize with Swarm. We've got Fusion Bomb with Body Focus. We've got Swarm with Whip again. Oh, that's Fragmentize with Swarm, and then Swarm with Whip here. We've got Radioactivity with Prismatic Rift, and we've got Victory March with Haymaker. I'm going to say either three or one would be your best bet here. I'm going to say go with one, because for me, my Fragmentize is higher level than my Whip, and then also Fragmentize will do good damage to the armor, and Swarm does good damage to both. Whip does good damage to both, but I feel like I've got better options with Fragmentize and Swarm. And I'm going to use the Psycho deck pattern for Sterile, which is torso and all limbs. There we go. You just skip the head and Sterile goes down. Alright, we can move on to Portal 11. We've got a Juck. Our decks are Ancestral Favor with Moonbeam, Ancestral Favor with Razor Wind, Clanship Barrage with Razor Wind, Ancestral Favor with Fragmentize, and Haymaker with Prismatic Rift. You can't go wrong with Ancestral Favor with Moonbeam or Ancestral Favor with Razor Wind. I think Fragmentize might be okay too, but if I don't miss my guess, there's a bit less armor than there is body. Yeah, there's less armor than there is body, so you don't want to go Fragmentize over Razor Wind. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Razor Wind. And for Juck, I like to just go both legs, torso, and head. There we go. That makes the fewest amount of transitions, and you don't lose as much damage on the transitions if you just exclude the hands, or the arms and hands. Alrighty, we can move on to Portal 12. Portal 12, we've got a Sterile. Our decks are Fusion Bomb with Body Focus. We've got Ancestral Favor. Ancestral Favor with... Oh, sorry, that's Clanship Barrage with Razor Wind. We've got Radioactivity with Prism. We've got Thriving Plague with Gas. And we've got Skull Bash with Prismatic Rift. I think since we don't have a decent burst deck... Okay, so 2 is a decent burst deck, but it'll take a while to burst through that armor, and you still have about 3 transitions. 3 transitions to deal with. Or we could go Cycle. Okay, so it's going to be either 2 or 4. 2 is probably fine. 4, you would have to do the Cycle pattern, which excludes the head. So I'm going to go with 2. I think 2 does this better than 4 does, because the massive single target that the torso presents, I think is better for Clanship Barrage. I'm going to start out with the leg and the hand, and then go to the head, and finish off on the torso. There we go. Alright, 17 second takedown. Not too bad. Alright, moving on to Portal 13. We've got Tarot, and our decks are Limb Focus, Gas with Acid Drench, Head Focus, Armor Focus, and Decaying Strike with Whip. So I think probably our best bet for a one deck takedown is going to be the head focus deck. Yeah, because the head is one of the biggest parts on tarot, so you will get that support buff to take down the head, and then you can just use the flat damage of Skull Bash to finish off the armor. Oh, sorry, the torso and the leg. Yeah, it's not going to be easy though, I'll tell you that much. If your card levels aren't real high, it won't be possible. This will be a two-decker for a lot of people, but for the people who are trying to get in the top 200 and the people who are trying to get the best time in the world, if you can't do it this deck, yeah, this is probably your best bet for the deck, or for getting it done. Alright, we move on to Portal 14. We've got Takdar, and our decks are Purifying Blast with Acid Drench. We've got Limb Focus, Victory March with Haymaker. We've got Armor Focus with Flak, and we've got Armor Focus with Moonbeam. I'll go Purifying Blast with Acid Drench. I'm very glad that they updated in the last raid card update, Purifying Blast to be a lot more dependable. It procs a lot more often, even though they shaved off a bit of its damage. Having the dependability really helped with a lot of the solar raid issues that it had. There we go. Man, it looks like they tweaked Takdar enough that you don't even have to take down all the parts to kill him. That's cool. Alright, we can move on to Portal 15. We got a LoJack. Our decks are Ancestral Favor with Razor Wind. We've got Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. We've got Head Focus. We've got Purifying Blast with Body Focus. We've got Limb Focus with Armor. And we've got Victory March with Grim Shadows and Acid Drench. So for LoJack, we want to use a good cycle deck. Burst decks, you have to take down all the parts except for one anyway. So we'll go ahead and go with deck 2. It's a 3-card deck too, so it'll be a little bit stronger. We're going to start with the torso and just move on slowly. Make sure you get those bombs planted specifically on the legs, head, and torso. There we go. Great. Moving on to Portal 16. We've got another Takdar. Our decks are Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage with Flak. Victory March, Clench It, Barrage, Razor Wind. We've got Armor Focus, Victory March with Haymaker. We've got Thriving Plague with Limb Focus, and we've got a general Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas deck. So your best bets for one deck takedown is going to be either 6 or 1. Typically for Takdar, I like to favor the cycle decks because I feel like they do a little bit better with the fewer transitions that the burst decks like deck 1 does. So I'm going to go with deck 6. Just make sure you get those stacks down on the torso and the head first. And then the armor, or sorry, the limbs, you don't really have to make sure the Thriving Plague stacks drop. Just make sure you get those Blazing Inferno stacks on them. There we go. Alright, moving on to portal number 17. We've got Takdar again. Our decks are Fusion Bomb with Armor Focus and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Flak. Same thing with Razor Wind instead of Flak. We got Armor with Limb Focus, got Victory March with Grim Shadow, and we've got Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. I'm going to go with deck 2. Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Flak. It's not ideal, but it's the best bet in this case for a one deck takedown. Just wipe out the armor with the Clench It, Barrage and your tap damage and let Flak finish off the body part behind you. There we go. Great. Moving on to Portal 18. We've got a Juck. Our decks are Fusion Bomb, Swarm, and Gas. We've got Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus, Limb Focus with Armor, Head Focus with Haymaker, Torso Focus with Totem, and Victory March with Haymaker. So for Juck, if we can get fewer targets, that's better. But if we can't, we'll do a cycle deck. Yeah, it seems like probably our best bet for this one is going to be deck 1. And for Juck, I'm going to do more parts with the higher HP, so we're going to go Totem. Sorry, Torso with head and limbs. It just depend on the swarm to take down the... There we go. Nice. Wiped it out pretty quick. Alright, we can move on to Portal 19. We've got LoJack. Our decks are Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. Purifying Blast with Body Focus. We've got Victory March with Grim Shadow, Acid Drench. We've got Ancestral Favor with Head Focus. We've got Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. And we've got Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. So, once again, I think our best bet is to do our Cycle deck. Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. And just make sure when you're doing the cycling to do the legs and the torso and the head. You don't have to make sure that bomb plants on the limbs when you're going around, but you have to make sure it plants on the torso and the head specifically. Oops, didn't want to do that. There we go. And just sit on the torso till the head blows up and then move off of it. Whoops, okay, yeah, we're just going to stay on the torso now and finish it off. Awesome. There we go, and we can move on to Portal 20 and get some info. Alright, so first portal with info is Portal 20. We've got a Sterile. Our info is minus 20% to all limb damage. So let's look at our decks. We've got Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We've got Thriving Plague with Gas and Swarm. We've got Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Skull Bash. We've got Limb Focus with Armor. Head Focus with Haymaker. All Armor Focus. And Ancestral Favor with Head Focus. I'm going to go with deck 1, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak, and just do the 4 parts, which would be the hand armor, leg armor, switch to the head and let Flak finish off the limbs for you, and then switch to the torso, back to the head, torso, get a little tap on that leg, and we're good to go. Awesome. Okay, now we can move on to Portal 21. So Portal 21 is a Sterile. Our info is 40% Affliction Chance increase. Let's look at our decks. We got Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We got Armor Focus with Limb. We got Purifying Blast with Body Focus. We got another Armor Focus with Limb. We got Torso Focus with Totem. We got Thriving Plague with Blazing Inferno and Gas, and we've got Blazing Inferno Armor Focus with Whip. So we have an increased chance of Affliction. So I'm thinking we don't really have any great Affliction decks. 3 is an Affliction deck, but it's only for Body Focus. You have to chew through the armor. 6 is an Affliction deck too, but I typically don't like to do a Cycle deck on Sterile if I can help it, because the torso is where the bulk of the HP is. I'm going to go ahead and go with deck 1 again, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak, and just do what I did last time. And I don't have to worry too much about utilizing the buff when we're this low. It's pretty easy to just go ahead and finish off the Titan without worrying about that buff or the debuff. Well, once we get up to the 40s, then we really need to start paying attention to the buff and utilizing it. Alright, moving on to Portal 22. We've got another Sterile. Our info is 15% decrease to burst damage. Let's look at our decks. We've got, same as last time, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We've got Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus. We've got Limb Focus with Armor. Victory March with Grim Shadows. Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. Victory March with Haymaker. And we got Thriving Plague with Blazing Inferno. So if burst damage is decreased, yeah, I think this is going to be another case with deck 1 as our best bet, even though the debuff makes it a little bit weaker. It's not weak enough to stop you from finishing. 7 is also a decent option, but like I said before, Thriving Plague is not optimal in my opinion for Sterile. mostly because once all the other parts are dead, you've still got a really bulky torso to deal with, and Thriving Plague takes a huge hit to its damage when you've got less limb parts, or less parts to focus. So I'm going to take deck 1 again and just eat the debuff. I'm going to take down the limb armor, go to the head armor, then the torso, and then from there just finish it off. There we go. Alright, we can move on to Portal 23. We've got a LoJack. Our info is 25% increased affliction damage. Alright, let's look at our decks. We've got Fusion Bomb with Gas and Swarm. We've got Grim with Body Focus. We've got Thriving Plague with Gas and Swarm. We've got Victory March with Grim Shadow. We've got Totem with Purifying Blast. Victory March with Haymaker. And we've got Whip with Blazing Inferno and Prismatic Rift. What was it again? Oops. I'm going to go back in here. It's affliction damage. Okay, so yeah, I think our best bet is deck 3. I really do like deck 3 because Thriving Plague is a really sticky affliction, and it helps Swarm is a really sticky affliction. It helps Thriving Plague out a lot. And just make sure you focus down the torso and the head and the legs more than the limbs, because they will die with the Swarm. See, they're already dead, and I still got a big chunk to do. But no problem. Okay, we can move on to Portal 24. For 24, we've got a Tarot. Our info is 15% decrease to affliction damage. For our decks, we've got Body Focus with Grim Shadow. We've got Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Flak. We've got Head Focus with Haymaker. We've got Victory March with Grim Shadow. Victory March, Clench It, Barrage, and Razor Wind. We've got Limb Focus with Decaying Strike, and we've got Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. I'm going to go ahead and do deck 2. We don't really need to worry about utilizing the buff again. Specifically with Tarot, is one of the easiest Titans to kill. You just take down that leg armor, move to the head, take down that armor, then to the torso, and then just finish off the head and the torso without transitioning too many times. There we go. Great, we can move on onto Portal 25. Yeah, we got a Juck. Our info is 15% increase to all raid damage. Fantastic. Our decks are Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. Body Focus with Grim Shadow. We got Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Flak. We got Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus. We've got Gas, Blazing Inferno, and Swarm. We've got Torso Focus with Totem. And our final deck is Purifying Blast with Totem. I'm going to go ahead and go with deck 3 again. It's nice and fast. You don't have to wait for all the fairies. We'll just take down the leg armor. Move to the head armor after the legs. Let Flak deal with the leg body. And then to the torso. And finish off the head. Then down to the torso. And down to the legs. Got it. Great. Let's move on to Portal 26. We got a Sterile. Our info is 50% limb health increase. Okay. So this means that we will not have to take down the 4 parts we usually do on Sterile, just one leg, torso, and head, very similar to how you would do Tarot. Alright, so we've got Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. We've got Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, Razor Wind. Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Skull Bash. We've got Purifying Blast with Body Focus. Ancestral Favor, Clench It, Barrage, and Fragmentize. Totem with Purifying Blast. And we've got Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. So I think probably Totem with Purifying Blast will be our best option here because it ignores the armor and body difference. But you could probably do it with deck 2 as well. But I'm going to go with deck 6. Let's start on the torso. And take the torso down nice and fast. And hopefully we can make a good transition up to the head. No. Okay, yeah, we got a few fairies to work with us. And then just any leg. Take that down nice and quick. There we go. Fantastic. Let's move on to Portal 27. we've got Tarot. Our info is 25% increase to all limb damage. Our decks are Gas with Grim Shadow and Swarm, Fusion Bomb, Prismatic Rift and Swarm, Blazing Inferno, Gas and Swarm, Limb Focus with Armor, Victory March with Grim Shadow, Purifying Blast with Totem, and Ancestral Favor with Head Focus. So with the limb damage increase, I'm going to say it doesn't change anything, and I'm going to say deck 6 is our best bet again, and just do exactly what we did last portal and focus down the torso, head, and either leg. The fewer transitions, the better. There we go. Yeah, we got a couple good transition fairies there, and we can move down to either leg. The legs are so weak you can take it down without a fairy, but you know, the fairies get there quick enough, you can take it down even faster. Great. Alright, let's move on to Portal 28. We've got another Tarot. Our info is 15% decrease to all armor damage, so armor goes down slow. We've got Fusion Bomb, Prismatic Rift and Swarm, Victory March with Grim Shadow and Acid Drench. We've got an all armor deck. We've got Purifying Blast with Totem. We've got Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, Victory March with Haymaker, and Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. I'm going to go with deck 4 again. Just makes it easy when you have fewer transitions. And also I feel like Purifying Blast Totem is not recently, since they updated, it's been a lot easier in solo raids. I wish I could grab a fairy. There we go. And move down to a leg. Got one. There we go. Alright. Let's move on to portal number 29. We got Tarot. Our info is 25% increase to body damage. Our decks are Fusion Bomb with Gas and Swarm, Gas with Maelstrom and Swarm. We got Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Flak. Armor with Limb Focus, another Armor with Limb Focus. We got Victory March and Grim Shadow, Victory March with Haymaker. So this is body damage increase. Alright, so not a big difference regardless of what we take, but I feel like if you do the three-part body takedown with Tarot, you're going to be doing better with Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, Flak. And just let Flak do the damage on the body once the armor's down. Go back to the head, and then move down to the torso. There we go. Great. We can move on to Portal 30. And now that we're at Portal 30, we have all the info, not just one. So our first full Titan is Takdar. Our info is 15% increase to raid damage, but 50% head health increase. Okay, let's look at our... So with the head health increased, I do believe that means that we won't have to take down possibly even 2 of the legs. I'm not sure. So we'll take down the head and the torso, and then just start taking down limb parts one at a time and see if it doesn't give us a win real fast. So we got Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Flak, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Moonbeam, and Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Skull Bash, Victory March with Grim, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. So let's go ahead and do Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Flak. Now, you know what? We're going to do the limbs last, so we're going to do Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Moonbeam. Now, Skull Bash. Head has more HP, so we want more damage to focus on the head. So we're going to go with deck 4, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Skull Bash. Fantastic. We'll take down the head, then the torso, and then the legs. Yeah, okay, so by the time the head's done, Clanship Barrage will be ramped up enough that we won't have to worry about losing the damage from Skull Bash. Down the legs, another leg, win. Great. So we didn't even have to touch the hands. Alright, let's move on to portal number 31. We've got a LoJack. Our info is 40% increase to affliction chance and 15% decrease to burst damage. Let's look at our decks. We got Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We got Limb Focus with Armor, Victory March with Grim Shadow, Victory March, Clinch, Barrage, and Razorwind, Purifying Blast with Totem. We got Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas, and we've got Whip with Blazing Inferno and Prismatic Rift. Alright, so with this one, with the burst damage decrease and the affliction chance increase, we want to go with deck 7. Get those stacks on the torso and the head and the leg as quickly as possible, and then with the limbs, just go ahead and roll over and make sure the Blazing Inferno stacks get on them. There we go. Nice. 21-second takedown is not too bad for up in the 30s. I won't complain. We move on to Portal 32. We got another LoJack. Our info is 3-second increase to the raid attack duration and 50% limb health increase. Alright, so with a 50% limb health increase, that should mean that we only have to do 2 legs and 1 hand, along with the head and the torso. I'm not positive, might be less. We'll check. Alright, so we got Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We got Decaying Strike, Gas, and Swarm. We got Limb Focus with Armor. We got Torso Focus with Totem. Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas. And we got Whip with Prismatic Rift and Blazing Inferno. What was the debuff again? Limb health. Oh yeah, that's right. Not really a debuff, just an increase in health. So we're going to go with deck 2. We'll take down 1 leg and let Flak finish it off while we work on the head and torso armor. There we go. Now I'll do another leg. Finish off the head, torso, and the other leg. And it looks like we need to do a hand too. So when you do this, I would do both legs and 1 hand first, and then while you're finishing off the torso and the head armor, your Flak will be able to work on those smaller parts. So I didn't know for sure how many limb parts I had to do, but after doing it and knowing ahead of time, when you open this portal, make sure you do 1 hand, both legs, the head, and the torso. And I would do the smaller parts first so that Flak can work on them while you're doing the other bigger parts. Alright, so moving on to Portal 33. We've got Juck. Our info is 25% increase to affliction damage and 20% decrease to torso damage. Alright, so with Juck, you can always just avoid whatever part has a damage decrease. So we're just going to avoid the torso and cycle around the head and all the limbs. Let's look at our decks. We've got Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. Radioactivity, Gas, and Swarm. We've got Fusion Bomb, Prismatic Rift, and Swarm. Body Focus with Grim Shadow. Limb with Armor. Torso with Totem. Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Thriving Plague with Limb. So I'm going to use deck 1. I think deck 1 does it for us. Yeah, deck 1 does it for us for sure. Just make sure that the bomb gets planted on the head before you move on. There we go. Probably make sure you get planted on the limbs too, because they're taking a little bit longer than the other arm parts. And we can sit on the torso while that blows up. There we go. Alright, we can move on now to portal number 34. We've got Tarot. Our info is 25% increase to all burst damage and 50% increase to torso health. Alright, so I think that means we can avoid the leg. We'll look at our decks. We've got Fusion Bomb, Prismatic Rift, and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Moonbeam. That's a good one for this one. We've got Decaying Strike, Gas, and Swarm. We got Limb Focus with Armor, Victory March with Grim Shadow, Victory March, Clanship Barrage, and Razorwind, and we've got Blazing Inferno, Prismatic Rift, and Whip. I'm going to go with deck 3. The torso is huge on this tarot, so that extra damage from Moonbeam will really help, and by the time that torso is done, we should only have to take down the head. And by then, our Clanship Barrage will be ramped up enough that losing that Moonbeam damage won't matter. There we go. Nice. Alright, let's move on to Portal 35. We've got Sterile. Our info is 25% increase to burst chance and 20% decrease to leg damage. Alright, our decks are Fused with Gas and Swarm, Decaying Strike with Gas and Swarm, Armor with Limb Focus. We've got Body with Purifying Blast, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Fragmentize. We've got Victory March with Grim Shadow, Torso Focus with Totem, and Ancestral Favor with Head Focus. I think for this one we just go ahead and go deck. Wait, I thought I had a flag. I guess deck 5 is going to be our best bet on this one. We like that burst chance increase, so that'll ramp up Clanship Barrage really fast. And once we lose the damage on the armor for Fragmentize, it won't matter. That's what we're going to do, deck 5. And we'll go with hand. Oops, that's right, we don't have flak, so we got to take the whole thing down. Leg, head, and then to torso. There we go. It went a lot faster than I thought it would. I love that burst chance increase with the Ancestral Favor Clanship Barrage decks. Works really good. Okay, let's move on to Portal 36. Our Titan is Tarot. We've got 40% increase to affliction chance and 15% decrease to affliction damage. Let's look at our decks. We've got Body Focus with Grim Shadow, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Flak, Limb Focus with Armor, Victory March with Grim Shadow, All Armor Focus, Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. We've got Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas, and we've got Whip with Blazing Inferno and Prismatic Rift. It's affliction chance increase, right? But affliction damage decrease. So we can just avoid the buff and the debuff and just go with our tried and true deck 2. Take down the leg armor, torso armor, head armor, and then finish off what's left of the body that Flak wasn't able to finish. There we go. And once this is down, we'll go back to the head and then down to the torso and finish off with a couple little tappy taps on the leg. We're good. All right, let's move on to portal number 37. We've got a Juck. Our info is 25% increase to limb damage and 20% decrease to torso damage. Let's look at our decks. We got Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus, Purifying Blast with Body Focus, Limb with Armor Focus, Head with Haymaker, Victory March with Grim Shadow, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Victory March with Haymaker, and Thriving Plague with Gas and Blazing Inferno. Was it limb damage and torso? Okay. Alright, so we're going to go with deck 8. You probably could also do it with okay, yeah, I think deck 8 is definitely our best bet for a one-hit takedown. And we'll just make sure that we get the good damage on the head because the limbs are going to die really fast on this particular Titan. Make sure those Thriving Plague stacks get on the legs too because they're a little bit thicker than the hands and shoulders. You just quick cycle around and get some more Blazing Inferno stacks on them. There we go. And now we can start wiping them out since we're getting low. There we go. Good. Let's move on to portal number 38. All right, we've got Takdar. Our info is 25% increase to affliction damage and 50% health on the limb increase. Alrighty. So on the limb. Alrighty, so, I think we just treat this one like normal. We might not have to do one side of the, yeah, with 50% increase, we shouldn't have to do 3 limb parts. We might be able to just get away with 1 hand, 2 legs, head, and torso. We'll see. We got Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Psychic Chain. We've got Armor Focus with Limb. We've got another Armor Focus with Limb. We've got Victory March, Clanship Barrage, and Razor Wind. We've got all Armor Focus. We've got Torso Focus with Totem, Purifying Blast with Totem, and we've got Ancestral Favor with Head Focus. I'm going to go ahead and go with deck 1. We'll go ahead and take down 2 legs and see what happens after that. I think we will have to take down 1 more hand, but it's possible since it's all limb increased by 50%. No, I think we will have to take down 1 hand. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I'm fairly sure that we will have to take down a hand. Okay, Clanship Barrage, I need you to get moving. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay, so more than a hand. Hand and a shoulder. All right, so for this one, we actually barely made it. But if you can do the small transitions first, it'll help you out and just finish off on the bigger parts. So I would go shoulder, hand, leg, torso, or head, torso, or something like that. But finish off on the torso and the head. That way you don't have to worry about the transitions at the end when you're desperately trying to just wipe it out. Also, Psychic Chain does good damage early with Ancestral Favor's buff, so you'll get those hand parts knocked out real quick. You won't have to worry about Clanship Barrage doing the damage. Alright, let's move on to Portal 39. For Portal 39 we have a Tarot. Our info is 20% increase to body damage and 50% increase to leg armor health. So we can avoid this debuff by taking down a shoulder and a hand instead of one of the legs. It'll be 4 parts. Let's look at our decks. We've got Body Focus with Grim, Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus. We've got Armor with Limb, another Armor with Limb, Victory March, Clanship Barrage, Razor Wind, all Armor, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas. Well, we don't have any spectacular decks for this one, but I think we can manage it with Thriving Plague, Blazing Inferno, and Gas. What is our buff again? Body damage. Okay. Yeah, I think we can handle it with deck 8. So we're going to go ahead and use deck 8 and just do 4 parts. Head, torso, and the arms. Make sure we get those stacks on the head and the torso though, because they will need to die a lot. They need a lot more damage than the limbs. We do want to keep Blazing Inferno on them though. Alright, we're dropping it nice and fast now. 3, 2, 1. Alright, well that was terrible. So you might be further ahead just to do the full cycle pattern and do torso, shoulder, hands, and legs. But even so, no, I think it can be done with deck 7, but I think you just have to do a little bit better focusing on the head and torso rather than the limbs, because my limbs died, or particularly my hand died pretty quick, and I lost a bit of damage off of my Thriving Plague. So I'm just going to finish off with deck 1. We'll start out on the head and then move to the torso, and we're done. Yeah, we were really close. We could have had that if we'd have been a little bit more careful with our damage on the hand. Alright, let's move to Portal 40. We're to our we're getting down to the last few. We got Sterile. Our info is 25% increase to burst chance and 80% decrease to burst chance. So I think these two buffs cancel each other out. I mean, obviously it would appear that you've got a 0.05% burst chance increase, but I think that's small enough that you're not going to really notice it. So let's look at our decks. We've got Armor Focus with Limb, Another armor focus with Limb, Victory March with Grim Shadow, Victory March, Clinch Barrage, and Razorwind. We've got Totem with Purifying Blast. We've got Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, Victory March with Haymaker, and Thriving Plague with Blazing Inferno and Gas. Alright, I'm going to go with deck 5. I feel like deck 8's not going to cut it because once again you have your limbs dying off too quick, and then you only have one stack of Thriving Plague, or sorry, one part to focus with Thriving Plague in the middle. So we'll see how this goes. Let's start on the torso. I feel like the torso to head transition's probably your smartest bet for your first transition, because those two parts are really big, and then also the torso to head transition tends to be a lot easier than most transitions with tarot. I'm going to take down this. Let's see if we can get a fairy stack on that hand before we finish the leg, and there we go. Not bad. Alright, let's move on to Portal 41. We're to the last 10. Final 10. LoJack is our Titan. Our info is 10% increase to support effects and 80% decrease to affliction chance. Alright, let's look at our decks. We've got Fusion Bomb with Gas and Swarm. We've got Gas Grim and Swarm, Gas Maelstrom and Swarm. We've got Head Focus with Haymaker, Victory March, Clanship Barrage, and Razorwind. We've got All Armor Focus, Purifying Blast with Totem, and we've got Thriving Plague with Gas and Blazing Inferno. Support effects are increased. Okay, so with the support effect increase, the two cards Rancid Gas and Ancestral Favor get a double buff. So any deck with either of those cards is going to work really well in this particular raid. And I think it's going to be either deck 3 or deck 8 for the win. The single takedown win. Was it Affliction Chance or Affliction Duration? Affliction Chance that's decreased. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with 8. We're going to go with 8. We're going to cycle this LoJack, and maybe we go ahead and avoid one of the hands this time, just because we're getting higher up and it's got a little bit more HP and it's a little bit more frugal to make sure we're doing as efficient damage as possible. We will lose a little bit of damage off of Thriving Plague for skipping a part, but it's not enough, I don't think, to make us lose this. Alright, if we can't get it in one deck, we will definitely need to take down as many parts as possible, so we only have one bit left. Alright. So let's look at our remaining options. We've got Grim Shadow with Gas would probably be good to take down the torso. Oh, here we go. Yeah, deck 5 is definitely our best bet. We can just do the quick damage with Victory March and Razorwind ought to take it down real quick. We don't even have to worry about Clanship Barrage. Great. Now we can move on to portal number 42. And for portal 42, we've got LoJack. Our info is 20% increase to armor damage and 50% increase to limb health. Alright, so yeah, we might only have to take down 3 limb parts, but possibly 4. So I'm going to say head, torso, 2 legs, and 1 hand. Alright, let's look at our decks. We've got Fusion Bomb with Gas and Swarm, Fusion Bomb with Grim Shadow and Swarm, Fusion Bomb with Prismatic Rift and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage and Flak, Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage and Moonbeam, Blazing Inferno with Gas and Swarm, and we've got Armor Focus, and we've got Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. I think probably Ancestral Favor, Clanship Barrage, and Moonbeam is our best bet, because LoJack does have a really it's not the biggest torso, but I believe it's its biggest part. So focus down that torso, and then after the torso's gone, we'll move to the head. And then with the Clanship Barrage ramped up, after the head's down, we should be able to just take down with the leg, a piece, and maybe 1 hand. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, we do need a hand. There we go. There we go, and we can move on to Portal 43. For 43, we've got another low jack. We've got 10% increase to support effects and 50% decrease to burst damage. Let's look at our decks. We've got Body with Grim, Ancestral Favor with Torso Focus, Ancestral Favor Clinch at Barrage and Skull Bash. We got Head Focus with Haymaker, Victory March Clinch at Barrage Razor Wind, Torso Focus with Totem. We got Purifying Blast with Totem, and Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. It's going to be between 7 and 3. And I feel like with the burst damage decrease, support effect increase. Okay, so the support effect increase gives a double buff to Ancestral Favor, and I think that's why we're going to go with Ancestral Favor, because that burst chance increase is going to totally negate that burst damage decrease. Go, wipe out the head first and get Clinch at Barrage ramped up. Then we can move to the shoulder, hand, leg, torso, and then to another leg, and the last hand. There we go. Woo! We got it just in time. Great. Let's move to Portal 44. We've got Taktar. Our info is 25% increase to all burst damage and 50% increase to head health. Okay, that's interesting. So I think that makes it so that we can skip some limb parts here. Let's look what we got. We got Radioactivity, Swarm, and Gas. We got Body Focus with Grim, Ancestral Favor, Clinch, Barrage, and Flak. We've got Decaying Strike, Gas, and Swarm, Victory March with Grim, Purifying Blast with Totem, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. I'll go with deck 3, I believe. Burst damage increase, head health. Okay, yeah, burst damage increase. We're going with deck 3, Ancestral Favor, Clinch It, Barrage, and Flak. And let's go ahead and take down. Let's go ahead and take down 3 arm parts and both leg parts, because I think I'm not 100% sure we have to take all those down, but it's better safe than sorry at this point. If you already know exactly how much you have to take down, then you should definitely do that. Let's look at how much health we have left on this torso once we're done. Oh wow, we had a lot of health left on the torso. So you might be able to get away with just doing the legs. With the head health. Yeah, it might be just the legs. Head, torso, and legs. I would try that. Just take down the 2 legs, armor, then switch to the torso and head armor and let Flak take down the legs. And if it doesn't die, then just wipe down 1 hand. Alright, let's moving on to Portal 45. We've got another Taktar. Our info is 25% increase to torso damage and 50% limb health. Alright. We got Body with Grim, Ancestral Favor, Clinch at Barrage and Flak, Ancestral Favor, Clinch at Barrage and Razor Wind. Same deck again with Skull Bash, Armor with Limb, another Armor with Limb, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Thriving Plague with Gas and Blazing Inferno. So if we've got torso damage increase, head is the part that's going to need the most work. So we're going to go ahead and go deck 4. And we'll take down the head, then the torso, and then 2 legs, and then see what we have to finish off after that. Maybe 1 or 2 arm pieces. Okay, Ancestral Favor should be good and ramped up after taking down the head, and you can finish off the torso. There we go. And then move on to leg. Second leg. And then the hand. Looks like we do need to take down at least 1 hand, maybe 2. Goodness, yeah, we had to take down 2 hands. So you can finish every part of Taktar except for 1 solid hand and shoulder, or just 1 leg. Alright, moving on to Portal 46. We've got Mohaka. I think this is our first Mohaka this entire solo raid. We've got 10% increase to support effects and 20% decrease to affliction duration. Okay, so I have to remember that Fusion Bomb is buffed on this one, particularly if it's with Rancid Gas. Yeah, okay, so this will be a good deck for Fusion Bomb with Rancid Gas and Swarm. We got Fusion Bomb with Prismatic Rift and Swarm. We got Ancestral Favor, Clencher Barrage, and Razor Wind. Purifying Blast with Body Focus, Head Focus with Haymaker, Victory March, Clencher Barrage, Razor Wind, Torso Focus with Totem, and Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. I'm going to go with deck 1. Double sure to make sure the bomb gets planted on the head and the legs. There we go. Just cycle around there. Spend a little extra time on those legs and the head to make sure that bomb gets planted. I could be going a little bit faster, I guess. I don't want to lose my my timing on these. Oh, I'm not going to get this one. Unfortunate. It did 4.05 million damage, which is not fantastic. I think I should have been going a little bit faster on my fusion movement. So I just finished it off with, wait, Ancestral Favor, Clencher Barrage, and Razor Wind's decent. But what's going to be fastest? So probably to finish it off, what's going to be fastest? Yeah, I think it's deck 3, because with Ancestral Favor and Razor Wind, it'll die pretty quick. You don't even have to worry about Clencher Barrage getting ramped up. Razor Wind will do most of the damage. There we go. Alright, we can move on to Portal 47. We've got Takdar. Our info is 20% increase to armor damage and 50% increase to head health. So this is another one. I think this is the one we messed up last time, so it's just going to be head, torso, and legs, I think. Right? I guess we'll find out. Okay, so we got Fuse, Prism, and Swarm. Body Focus with Grim. Gas with Swarm and Blazing Inferno. We got Armor with Limb. Head with Haymaker. Victory March with Grim Shadow, all armor focus, and limb focus with Decaying Strike. Wow, we do not have any fantastic options here. I think as far as taking it down in one shot, your best bet is deck 3, particularly if you have Blazing Inferno leveled up. But this armor focus deck won't help us. We don't have any single target burst decks that'll work for this. So that pretty much eliminates what you would use the head buff for, unfortunately. I think we're gonna have to go with deck 3. Try to take down as much of everything as we can. So Blazing Inferno is real easy. Once you get the first few stacks on, then the rest of the stacks go down pretty quick. You just gotta refresh them real consistent like. There we go. Working out real good. And we don't have to worry about losing damage with the Thriving Plague. You know how Thriving Plague loses damage when you have less parts afflicted. Alright, not too bad. So now we just need a deck to take down the head and the torso. And I think deck 2 is our winner here. No. Maybe Victor March with Grim Shadow is our best bet. Yeah, I think so. So I'm going to go Victory March with Grim Shadow, and we'll take down the head first. There we go. Get it ramped up real good. Got 7 stacks on there. We can move on. There we go. Nice. All right, moving on to portal number 48. 3 portals left. I might have froze up there. Yeah, I think I froze up. I'll just restart it real quick. I just double check the recording, make sure it's still good. Yep, recording's still good. There we go. Back on. All right, so for Portal 48, we've got a low jack. Our info is 10% increase to all support effects and 50% increase to limb health. All right, so let's look at our decks. We got Fusion Bomb with Gas and Swarm, Fusion Bomb with Prismatic Rift and Swarm. We got Armor with Limb, Purifying Blast with Body, Victory March with Grim Shadow, All Armor Focus, Purifying Blast with Totem, and we've got Whip with Blazing Inferno and Prismatic Rift. So for the one deck takedown, I think our best bet's going to be deck 1. We've got the double buff on the Rancid Gas. Just make sure that we get those double stacks, or the stacks on the head for sure. Okay, we can go a little bit faster than this. I messed that up. Wow. All right, well, 4.33 million damage. Obviously, the less parts you have with Fusion Bomb, the less effective it is, but we did pretty good, all things considered. So you just got a head, torso, and 2 legs to finish off, and I think we finished that off pretty easily with deck 7. Focus down the torso first, and then move to the head, and it might die before we even mess with the legs, with that increased limb health, I think. Yeah. Great. All right. Moving on to Portal 49. We've got Mohaka. Our info is 3 seconds increase to raid attack duration and 50% limb health increase. Oh, with that, I think with the 50% raid health increase, we only have to take down the legs and one hand, I believe it is. I'm not positive about that. So our decks are Fusion Bomb, Gas, and Swarm. Gas, Grim Shadows, and Swarm. Radioactivity with Gas and Swarm. We've got Ancestral Favor, Clinch It, Barrage, and Flak. We've got Limb Focus with Armor. All Armor Focus, Ancestral Favor with Head Focus, and Limb Focus with Decaying Strike. I'm going to go with deck 4. And I do believe we just take down 1 arm bit, 2 arm bits, legs, and see how it goes after that. We might have to end up taking down 1 more hand piece, but I almost don't think we do. Yeah, 1 more hand piece will do it. 2 more hand pieces? Oh man. Okay, so I should have definitely gone with the leg instead of the hands. So 2 legs. Yeah, I think 2 legs and 2 hand pieces would have done it. I'm almost sure I remember whenever the limb part HP was increased by 50%, it was like 3 pieces, but I could be wrong. But either way, we were able to do it with all the limb parts. Yeah, I think it should have been 2 legs and 2 hands. It should have been. I messed that up though. We still got it in 1 shot though. Sorry, my allergies are a little bad today. I mowed. Whenever I mow my grass, I always have a little bit of allergy trouble. All right, last portal. We've got Juck. Our buffs are 15% increase to all raid damage and 15% head health increase. Let's look at our decks. We've got Gas with Grim Shadow and Swarm, Body Focus with Grim Shadow, Ancestral Favor, Clanship, Barrage, and Swarm, Ancestral Favor, Clanship, Barrage, and Psychic Chain. And then we've got same thing with Skull Bash, same thing with Fragmentize, Head Focus with Haymaker, and Thriving Plague with Limb Focus. So the head health is increased. So let's go ahead and do the Clanship Barrage with with Skull Bash. And since we have the limb HP increase, we should only have to do like Sterile with head, torso, 1 leg, and 1 hand. Oh no, wait, the head is different than the limbs. I guess we'll just see. We'll take down the head, the torso. Ooh, a little bit of lag going on there. Oh, we only needed one leg. Okay, great. Well, that turned out pretty easy. All right, so we made it through all our portals. We are finished. We can go back to our settings and turn your raid retries back on so that you don't mess up on your next clan raids. Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or critiques or any suggestions. I'm always open to hear them, and I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy.